Welcome in to Blues Hub Postgame to talk about a game that I don't know if I thought they were going to win following the second goal for the Predators. Blues win 3-2 tonight in Nashville, sweep the season series against the Preds, and clutch up again another two massive points in their wild card race. Just a reminder, Blues Hub postgame brought to you by Hot Shots. St. Louis is home for all the games, all the time since 1990. And also, if you don't catch us live, you can always catch us right here on the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel and see the rest of our programming over on the rest of our social medias and also some of our written content over on sportshubstl.com. I'm joined by Mike Meyer. And Mike, I think the best way to just talk about this game is to just get right into it. 3-2
just dive right on in. Absolutely.
I straight up. So I was at opening day, and of course that got delayed. So already a fun day for St. Louis right now, just to add on to it. I'm at opening day. It's probably 6th, 7th inning, and I pulled the game up on my phone, and then that power play goal goes in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna enjoy the baseball game. I'm pretty sure this one's locked up because historically, as a Blues fan watching this team, that second goal and the way that they scored it, the way that the game was going, I'm thinking that they're probably scoring a goal, at least one. That Holloway goal was kind of expected, but I did not think that they would have it in them. I shouldn't say that, but I didn't really think that they would come back in the way that they did. And not even just the Blues. I thought the Predators played a good game overall. That's something I've taught myself as a hockey fan, is to tell myself that your team doesn't just suck when they lose. You're playing a good team at the same side of it. Predators, they played a good game. They saw them again. I believe this is third time in about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so I expected this game to be, blow for blow, as tough as it is. And that's exactly what we saw tonight with the Preds full on, just coming in guns a-blazing, and open up that first period with those two goals. And so I thought this was the Preds game, just because, not because I thought the Blues didn't have it in them. I just thought the Preds had that upper hand. But then all of a sudden, the Blues just switched back to how they were the first week out of the Four Nations break and somehow made a miraculous comeback, win this game. And now that I'm done with my rambling about my thoughts about it, I got to ask Mike, looking at this game, the back and forth, the rough start, or at least what we thought was a rough start, to the comeback win, what are your thoughts?
This was absolutely a tale of two different teams. There's a comment here that just got put here through Hulk Hogan's T-shirt. And I don't know if I could be able to describe it any better. For 40 minutes, this team played like the team before the Four Nations. The last 20 played like the team after the Four Nations. And even if some folks say, they're not huge like on the analytics, Corsi for percentage, how much are you controlling the puck? How much are you controlling the play? First period, 61.5% in the favor here of Nashville. It was ugly. They held the Blues here to 3 shots. Midway through the game, I think each team had like 10 shots on goal. Like it was just an ugly back and forth game. But Nashville did exactly what they needed to be able to do to help limit the Blues from getting any sort of scoring chances. Plenty of sticks here in the lanes and just disrupting the Blues on any single point that they could possibly be able to disrupt them. As you continue along, 54% here of the time, Nashville controlled the play here through the second period, and then still even through the third period. And this is in all situations. So, I'm not looking here like just at 5-on-5. 51.4% here of the time, Nashville still controlled the play. So overall, Nashville controlled most of the game. It was just the Blues that just said, we're better, and we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until that dam finally broke here in the third period, which, say it if you will, again, Nashville kind of deserved to be able to win that game, which was, you hate to be able to say that, you really do, but, they get a couple of lucky bounces. And honestly, I think it was after that Cam Fowler goal that really solidified it here for me. Okay, this team's going to do it. Like, they're going to absolutely get this victory, which is crazy to think, because again, I think, like you said, I think this is where the winning streak here ends. I think this is the spot here where this all stops, which is fine. the thing that they're going to sweep the season here against Nashville, I think was totally unrealistic. Nashville was bound to be able to get one, which that would have been fine. But this Blues team here is determined, and maybe they saw Tommy Welch's post that says he's going to cut his hair and trim it off beard bald, and they said, okay, we're going to do that here at this point. But these guys locked it down, and I will completely give Joel Hofer came through in every single moment possible that you needed him to be able to come through in.
I mean, that was another thing I want to talk about, is just Joel Hofer. We'll talk about him more in depth, but right now I think the comment I have for him is that it's weird to say that he's getting better and better every game when he's already just been fantastic. He's had a fantastic game, and you think there's no way he can get better. And then he has a game like this, where I think if he doesn't have a game like this, Nashville gets that win 4-2, 5-2, something like that.
Yeah.
But he had some massive saves, especially in that third period. I mean, even at the end of the third was insane. The amount of saves that he had made. And again, and I think it's another thing too, Hofer makes some of the harder saves look relatively simple. And that's something I think we've seen from Binnington as well. And they're just reading it well. They're doing a great job of not having to dance all over the place. And that's, again, something he did tonight. And another note, and this was, I think, another reason why Nashville was playing as tough as they were tonight. They are now officially eliminated from the postseason. So that is definitely something that they were fighting for tonight. I remember seeing it earlier today. That was something they were fighting for the past few days. And now with this loss, they are officially eliminated. So that's definitely something, again, you got to throw in there. They were certainly fighting for a chance to still be in contention. Obviously, they're quite a handful of more than one handful of points out of a wild card spot, now eliminated from the playoffs. But still, to have that feeling until, almost the end, to be in contention is still a good feeling. We know that as Blues fans.
Mm-hmm.
So you could tell there's something that the Preds were fighting for tonight. But right now, this is something we have not seen from a Blues team in so long. And this is one of the first times. You go back to 2019, that run started back in early February.
Mm-hmm.
You look at where the Blues are at now, where, they start middle of March and are now fighting their way back into what seemed like a foregone conclusion, something that was thrown out of the picture in December. And now not only are they sitting in a playoff spot, but now they are kept thinking that the Wild lost time. They were playing the Capitals and they had that. They also had a great comeback, the Wild, but now still 2 points behind the Wild, but again, 2 points behind the Wild for that number one wild card spot, which to me is insane just to think about, where back in December, we were thinking season's already over. Rough start, had to fire our coach, and we got the coach we wanted, but, we had the coach honeymoon, and then we had the new coach honeymoon, and the new coach hangover. And then we thought, which one are we going to get the rest of the season? Are we going to get a solid team that continues through, or are we just going to get the same Blues we've been seeing for the past year and a half? And as of now, this is a completely different team, not even one we talked about in the fall. This is a completely different identity, and we're looking at a team that just seems to be fighting for something I've honestly never seen before in an NHL season in my life. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen this from a team before, playing so tight just for a shot to play more hockey than the regular season.
Yeah, and what's nice, they're all coming together. They're fighting for one another, and this is truly an identity. And this is not a shot here at Drew Bannister, not here at all, because it's no offense to him, but I think he was in way over his head here at this point in time. He had never coached in the NHL, even as an assistant, and then just to be thrust right into the gig here of a head coach here of the NHL of an NHL squad, and a team who was still rebuilding, retooling, whatever that you want to be able to insert at that point in time. He had a lot of work to be able to be done at that point. And again, it's nothing that was his fault, but he just, he was kind of lost here at times, and he just didn't really know what to be able to do. And so at that point, once you get a guy here like Jim Montgomery in, man, I mean, you could definitely tell, you like you said, you got the new coach bump, you had a little bit of the hangover, but at that point in time, you see the true difference between a veteran coach, a guy who truly knows what he's doing, how to be able to relate here to his players, and something that I think, and hopefully that Drew Bannister is going to end up seeing maybe later in his career. But Drew Bannister was just unfortunately not the guy to be able to get his team down market, or even just, potentially talking about a 500 squad. And if it's not for Montgomery, I don't know where we're truly here that we're talking about here at this point in time. He's got guys who are truly buying in, and as much as they're talking about, oh well, we've got some of like the oldest vets here in the squad in the NHL. The blue line here is really old. You're looking at just some amazing veteran experience here for some of the young guys like Matthew Kessel, Tyler Tucker, even now Jordan Bennington here with Joel Hofer, which, to go back here to our original point here, about Joel Hofer, I am feeling very confident in the fact that Jim Montgomery could absolutely roll 2 goalies in the postseason and feel very confident doing so. Usually you want to be able to stick with a guy who is your hot hand. You want to be able to roll with a guy and say, this is your net, this is your postseason, and we're going to ride or die here with you. But I think both goalies right now, they're challenging here each other. And if in the event that he needs to feel like that he needs to be able to give Jordan Bennington a rest, or says, you know what, you do better here at home, you play better here on the road, and that's just the play that we're going to be able to make, then so be it. I mean, both guys, I have true confidence here in both of them. And again, worst case scenario, if a guy has a bad game, you have a very reliable goaltender to be able to bank here on moving forward.
So let's talk about the players so far. I mean, because that's just been the story of the game. I think the ones we got to highlight, obviously we're going to talk about the fourth line. They again had another great game. Look at Holloway, his 2 fantastic goals that were
MVP.
MVP. I think we got to start right at the goaltenders. As you mentioned, rolling 2 goaltenders. We have not seen something like this since the end of the Elliott Allen era. And even then, this is probably one of the best tandems the Blues have seen since I've been a Blues fan. This has been the best goalie tandem I have seen. And especially out of Joel Hofer, who no one saw coming. I mean, he had an incredible job, or what he did in Springfield in the minors before he came to the Blues. Incredible what he did.
Hofer was going to be the guy. If it wasn't for his injury, Bennington would not have come up in 2019. Hofer was the guy at that point. So if it wasn't for that injury, we may have never had, do I look nervous? Like we may have never had that. There's no telling, absolutely. But man, you want to talk about fate, and now it's come full circle now that they're both together here in the NHL.
And I think I think it's a part of it. Like, he's almost proving himself. And I mean, you look at the early of the season, obviously Bitter's been our ride or die since 2019. And he's reproving himself right now. I think he fully reproved himself, not just at the Blues level, but at a full-on national level with that Four Nations, not just, in Canada, but I think also in the U.S., just across the board. I mean, when you start a season going into that break with an 899, a lot of people write you off immediately. But I mean, he was looking like a Vezina candidate in that tournament, and he has since then. But then Hofer, out of nowhere, has picked up the slack, and I don't even know if that's the right way to put it. I don't even know if it's pick up the slack, is more or less just has stepped up to want to be, if not want to be, but has become almost just as good as Bennington.
He's the 1B. He's the 1B right now.
There's a 1A and
he's competing. Yeah, and he's competing, and he's saying, I want the net. And Bennington saying, no, I want the net. And Hofer saying, no, it's my net, and that's the kind of battle that you want. That's the battle that you want to be able to see. And it goes back to, almost like those old Nike commercials. Maybe I'm dating myself here a little bit. It's those old Nike commercials saying, anything you can do, I can do better. But honestly, like, that's what I want here from my team. If you're seeing Holloway and Cairo that's going down and saying, okay, well, I'm going to score the goal. No, I'm going to score the goal, and I'm going to make the stop. I'm going to make the stop. Great. Make that challenge. Make it the internal challenge. It gives everybody here a huge boost. It puts the smile on the faces. It forces these guys to just keep their heads up and just say, guys, we're still in this, because I failed. I didn't, I messed up here, but I got my guys back. And that's exactly what you want to be able to see.
Yeah, I mean, talk about, or I should say, when you look back, and this is something I heard about on 101 a couple of days ago, is that the different identity of this team as well, of the team aspect. A lot of people talk about the competition for the goalie, for the starting spot. This is a tandem that obviously, like, they compete against each other, because all goalie tandems do, but they're also working together to make this team be so successful. And again, you look at everything this team has done. Another thing, we could go on for hours about this team and the different aspects, the new identity, and all the different things. And the thing that's obviously the difference in how well the players are going, but the biggest thing for me, especially, is the team aspect, the almost no individualism whatsoever across this team, even down to the goalies that are competing for a spot, who pretty much aren't even competing because they're so good. You could play either one of them, that they're just as happy to give the net over to the next guy, because they trust that the next guy up with that spot. And you see it across the lineup. You see it everything. It is the best thing as a hockey fan, in my opinion, to see a team from top to bottom working as one and achieving that same goal that everyone, that not just the 20-man or 22-man roster wants, but 18,000 to 5 million plus fans want to see from your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a good comment here that was in there, Kevin. My mistake here. I initially said Hofer. It was Billy Husso at the time here, that he was the one who was injured. So yes, thank you for correcting me here at that point. But yeah, you are seeing, that next man up mentality. I do like the move that they made to be able to bring Dvorsky. Sorry, I saw, Minnesota scored here the next goal. I'm trying to keep here as far as Snuggerud
watching the UMass Gophers game as well. Yeah. I will throw in really quickly. I do have still that University of Minnesota connection. So, I watched the game earlier with the Minnesota State, Western Michigan, and now I don't know who's going to win that regional. So it's a great time up in Fargo. That's Fargo is Fargo. I'll give you that. As a kid that's grown up in that area, it's an interesting place to be. But no, watching the Gophers as well. Obviously, you got to be excited for that. Hopefully, they're there. But of course, back on this game.
Yeah. So, I do like the next man up mentality. I do like the fact that they were able to bring Dvorsky up. Although he's only played the one game, I still wish. I said this. I wish that they would have brought Alexandrov up instead of Dvorsky. I get why they brought him up, but I wish I would much rather have Dvorsky still continuing down there practicing playing here with the AHL squad rather than Alexandrov. That's just my own personal opinion. Alexandrov's been playing very, very well here in the AHL, and if you're going to have a guy who's going to be playing once at this point and maybe a healthy scratch candidate, I think it'd be Alexandrov. Ace Rob, I completely agree. You've got to play Parayko. You carry one extra D-man to be able to keep Tucker in the lineup. Yep, I still keep Tucker in the lineup. He's done everything here possible to be able to earn his spot, whether it's, throwing down the gloves and sticking up here for his teammates, or, just playing the great defensive times, that you need to be able to have him play. But, Tucker's absolutely the guy who you're seeing, to my example, with all the veteran exposure, he is soaking up Ryan Suter here like a sponge right now. And he's a guy who I think could potentially be the next version of like a Barrett Jackman, maybe like a Barrett Jackman light, which could be huge. I doubt that he ever really makes it up, into like a top 4 spot at that point. So that's where, it's a Barrett Jackman light type of a version. But, he's a guy who is learning a lot from a veteran here like Ryan Suter, and whether it's just taking care of your body or just making the simple plays, but you've seen a lot of growth here from a guy like Tyler Tucker this year.
Across the board. Even looking at, like, obviously you mentioned you wish he, Alexandrov instead of Dvorsky, but you're seeing all these younger guys soaking up so much more. And it all starts also in the minors because
Yeah.
there's guys at Springfield that have been here for 10 plus years. But to obviously see that at the NHL level, we saw that a couple games ago with, Joseph talking at the faceoff and Suter coming across and making sure everything is up to code and make sure everything's ready to go and reminding players and all that kind of stuff. And just those little things. And especially to Dvorsky, who was not even a year old when Suter started playing the NHL. And again, that team aspect, doesn't matter who you are. There's no, okay, Rook, go get it, have fun, do whatever, you'll learn. There's we're fighting for a common goal thing again, popping back up. But I did want to mention before we get, talk about this game just a little bit more, because there's definitely one stat line I want to talk about. But while we're on the topic, and this was something I definitely thought about, was the depth in the Blues kind of like prospect pool right about now. And like talking about who they wanted to pull up, who they want to insert, and how they've been playing right now. The question is where, obviously you're going to most likely have some injuries. You're going to have some people that want to come out or need to come out at some point for, retooling or an off day for something. But as of right now, I'm trying to find a spot for some of these players, because at the same time, there's a lot of guys that are like, we're throwing around names of, people we can come up with, Snuggerud, Dvorsky, Alexandrov. And it's like, okay, well, that's a full line. Where do we put them? But at the same time, I mean, to me, that makes me excited knowing that there's a lot of spots that, like, if we have to fill, we can, and we have that ability, especially with some of these younger guys who can, slowly start to learn and pick up those spots, but they're not a spot we're just throwing away to give to someone new.
Yeah, and that's definitely the hard part, because again, with a guy here like Jimmy Snuggerud, who's everybody's excited here for, like, where do you put him? Who comes out of the lineup? Right now, Texier is filling in here for Buchnevich, but at that point in time, again, like, you've got veterans, Joseph, Texier, who are playing very good, hard minutes here right now in a strong defensive game. And those guys are absolutely needed here in your lineup right now. So I don't know. Again, I think you probably give him the Dvorsky treatment where he gets his first game and then maybe he's just kind of in the press box and he's practicing. But that's going to be really, really hard to make that decision. I could see the Blues maybe putting him here with the Springfield Thunderbirds, just to at least be able to, like, get him up and started, so he's still getting some good action, some playing time, some good chemistry here right now, and some exposure here to the true pro level, and then maybe as a future call up. But boy, it's going to be tough here with him. I'm also trying to be able to keep an eye on here the Calgary game. Calgary just scored a goal here against Dallas. Dallas is still up here 3-2 here with about 5 minutes into the third period. So Calgary could still be able to catch St. Louis, or at least, put another 2 points here towards St. Louis, who is Minnesota's got 87, St. Louis 85, Vancouver night off. They could hop over Vancouver with Calgary having only 79 points. So you could see not necessarily a new 1, 2, 3, but just at least a new number 3 spot here in the wildcard standings.
I'm just, for once, I find myself cheering against Central Division teams, and it hurts. It hurts really, really bad. Stab in the chest. I'm thinking, man, I hope the Stars win tonight. But I wish that it was the entire Central lined up in that wild card spot right behind us. Because, man, is it hard to? Because there was I think it was Vancouver playing the Blackhawks, and man, that was so conflicting for me, to say the least. So,
and the tough part here for all of the standings here is is the games in hand. And that's absolutely the tough part. I put an article here out on Sports Hub's website here as far as the likelihood that the Blues are going to be able to catch the number 1 wild card spot. It's gonna be tough. You're looking at a team who's got to be able to get at least 95 points. So that's the average over the last 3 seasons here to be able to make the wild card. And based on the numbers of games in hand, I mean, you'd have to have the Wild to be able to play roughly 500 or just below 500 hockey. It's a little bit dated here right now. I mean, when it's the article's only, I think, like a day old, and obviously there's been multiple games who have been played, but if you're interested in being able to try and figure out what some of like the percentages and what some teams necessarily would end up making, feel free to be able to go over here to the website and you can be able to take a look here at it.
So let's look at the chat a little bit. Walker chipping out the puck instead of shooting for the internet killed at least 20 seconds. You went less than 2 seconds. I mean, yeah. And that's another thing, kind of pointing out the little things that a lot of the Blues have done, or a lot of
veteran
the teams
decisions.
Yeah. And first of all, incredible, smart play by Walker. Simple, goes unnoticed, but it's the right play to do. And it kills off, an insane amount of time to where, could have probably been going to overtime for all we know with that late goal right at the end that luckily didn't count. But I mean, you look at obviously the thing I point at the most, I point this out a lot, is the defense and just the simple plays that they've made. And, like Falk, especially recently, I saw a comment earlier talking about Falk in his game. I mean, Suter making the simple plays. Fowler had a fantastic shot today with the goal. He's been making some great plays as well. Just the simple stick lifts and getting in passing lanes, those little things. And offensively as well. I mean, talk about Walker, that fourth line and little things that they do, especially. I mean, they've been putting up points recently, which is like, what? But at the same time, they're still doing their role. They're playing their role, and they're making the little plays. And you see that across the offense. You see it across the defense. And obviously Walker with that play earlier today probably saved us the game there. But again, that's another part of this, a part of this identity is that they're playing smart hockey right now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting caught up here looking here at some of the different comments, and the one about the warrant here for Army in Edmonton. At this point, what's really, really funny though is, I try not to be able to put too much stock into, what a lot of people are saying online and the different comments. And because all season long, it's been, the offer sheet boys, oh, look at this comment, look at this. But now you've got other fan bases who are comparing it and almost like looking at their GM of like, okay, what kind of moves could you be able to make? Or, oh, you didn't make this move. And now they're like, it's now they're turning on their own fan base here because of it. And it's, oh man, it's hilarious. But I think this was a situation, and I don't want to harp too much here, like on the whole Holloway Broberg, because I mean, this is all season long. This was absolute best case scenario that could have possibly have happened. And I don't even think Armstrong figured that they were going to have this level of an impact here on this squad. And so this what we're seeing here is absolutely reason why they should be able to lock up Holloway long term, why they should lock up Broberg long term. I totally get it. I'm a person who wants to be a little bit more hesitant and just see it just a little bit more here from what these guys have. If that means paying them a little bit more, so be it. But I know that I'm not necessarily overpaying them at that point in time. I know the cap's going to be rising. I know, that's a lot of people's thought process is, we'll lock them up now. The cap's going to be rising. And so these are going to be great deals. Totally get it. But man, these two are showing this is a next addition here to this massive core that the Blues here are building, and that can be Stanley Cup competitors here for years to come.
Certainly. I certainly think so. Let's take a look at the game. A quick reminder before I forget, also, once again, just a reminder that the Blues Hub Postgame brought to you by Hot Shot, St. Louis home for all the games, all the time since 1990. If you can't catch us live here on YouTube, you can see all of our videos and live shows on demand, and also catch all of our other socials and also some of our other content over on our website, sportshubstl.com. So let's talk about we've been here for 30 minutes, so let's talk about the game a bit before we start wrapping up. Obviously, we've mentioned some of the stats, the shots going, but I think that was something I noticed a lot. And this is something I've noticed a lot recently, especially with the Blues. They might not be getting a lot of shots, but they are not allowing a lot of shots either. And today is one of the lowest I've seen, with 18 shots for the Predators. That's it. And part of it is defense getting in the way of shots, block shots. A number I never thought I'd see in my life. Now I'm looking at the stats in full. 19 block shots to 17 in favor of the Blues. That's a number you don't see that often.
No.
That high for both teams with an insane amount of block shots. And that's something the Blues have just been doing incredible of. But also, again, I mean, especially on the PK, I mean, they have been limiting the shots on special teams. They have been, especially locking down lanes where they're not just getting the like simple flicks out from the post or from the point that just happen to flutter on net. They're limiting those. And again, that's another thing that, talking about this defense and defensively across the board. And I think this is something, again, we're seeing from the Monty effect. He's a defensive coach, and we're seeing it all over again. And it's really showing. And we've seen it with like Sundqvist in the games that he's been in, getting in the way of so many shots, an insane amount. We've seen it with, especially with the fourth line defense, getting in the way of so many. And again, just taking away those shooting lanes and making it not as hard for Hofer, who still makes incredible saves. But again, that's another thing you got to hand out to this team is that they are limiting shots and in an insane amount, limiting from 35 a night to now 18 shots against.
Yeah. They're letting their veterans play to their strengths. Not only are these guys able to jump up in on the rush, not only are they able to get deep here into the offensive zone, but these are guys who know how to be able to take away the shooting lanes. And that's the most important part. And obviously they're trusting their goaltenders, but at this point in time, when you're seeing that many block shots here per game, they're doing a good way and they're keeping these guys here out of the shooting lanes. They're keeping them here along the perimeter so that, even if they are getting a shot, they're preventing any sort of rebound attempt here possible. And so it's making it very, very easy here for the Blues to either see the shot go through and then clear the zone, or just allow the goaltender just to swallow it up. Like he's hungry here for it's like a hungry hippo. That's what I'm thinking. He's just going to eat here, just another puck. Okay, now on here to the next face off. So it's going to be interesting to be able to see how this continues along, to see if these veterans can continue it down the stretch. There's obviously less than 10 games here now. And then as you go into the postseason, can be able to continue it? There's going to be more pressure. Every single shift counts just a little bit more. And so I'm hoping they can be able to continue it. I think underneath of Montgomery, he's just going to look at them and say, boys, this is just another game. I get it. It's a series. We're going to see these guys here a little bit more. And these games here mean a bit more, but this is just another game.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, looking at the comments right now, Fowler's been huge for us. I mean, you talk about the acquisitions and again, I think this, as much as I really, really hope that this is not just like a one-off thing, but I mean, you look at the trades that Army made this year, and every time, I don't think there was a single trade that he made that people saw and were like, oh, this is fantastic. It was half and half of, why are you doing this? And, oh, okay, I kind of understand getting another piece or getting another veteran presence to fill in this spot. But there was never like, oh, wow, made a fantastic trade again. Yet they have been arguably the biggest impact makers, especially in this recent stretch. When you talk about Fowler, talk about Suter, who was picked up, and obviously, Broberg, Holloway, and just some of those other little acquisitions that, people were part of it was, why are you doing this? To all of a sudden to, thank you so much, Army. You are literally God. I love you so much. Like, that's pretty much how it was. I was thinking earlier, talking with my sister about while we were driving to the game, talking about Detroit a little bit and talking about the Yzer plan with Steve Yzerman. And I'm thinking, well, maybe instead of the Yzer plan, we got a little bit of the Army plans kicking in right now.
Yeah. He's definitely, especially with a couple like these last moves. I mean, this has absolutely been a master class on how to be a GM and how to just not care at all about what other people think here of you and just say, I've got a job that gets done. Rob, I am looking to be able to see here, I saw your question here about how much that the Blues should be able to pay Hofer. And that's a tough question, obviously, based on how like his length, in history here in the NHL versus, the amount of service time here that he's kind of got. He's in an interesting situation. I'd like to be able to see him get locked up for at least 2 years. I prefer 3 at that point. I'm also a guy who doesn't necessarily mind paying a goalie a little bit more to also give him less term. Goalies are such a fickle position, and especially when you've got a guy who also in Colton Ellis, who seems more than ready to be able to end up coming up. I would imagine that the Blues try to make something work as far as a contract that's going to line up here, and as far as his contract. Bennington doesn't have that much longer left here on his contract, but I think you're going to be able to see something probably around 2.5. If I had to just put a rough shot in the dark guess, you may see like a 3-year deal with like an average of like 2.5 mil here at that point. Again, total shot in the dark. Just kind of like what I'm seeing here from some of the other guys who are around the NHL. That's what I would be comfortable with. If he gets closer to 3, I think that's where you kind of start questioning, like, are you overpaying him? Or are you not? Like, so you just have to be able to kind of see. Steen, though, is, I think, going to do a fantastic job taking over. Army's still going to be there. He's running here, like in the background here, I think, as a good point of contact and a good member here, like, of the squad. So it's not like he's just going to like let it hand over here to Steen and just say, okay, go forth and just do your thing. Right. I think the front office is in strong hands.
I mean, looking here, this one that just came in, I think Steen is getting taught by Army how to be ruthless and run a hockey team. Maybe that's why Army's just going insane this season. It just, he decided maybe this is my swan song and you're up next now, and just go nuts. This is how you do it. I mean, in all reality, too, you can only hope for the best for Steen now. I mean, when you look at what Army has done and realizing this is something I really hope Blues fans really, really, learn from this season, is the patience is sometimes needed for a lot of these. We see it with a lot of players. You see it with trades. It takes some time. It really does. And it's really proved here this season. And obviously looking, I bet Mozeliak really secretly hates Army. Well,
I don't think he pays attention too much. Let's be real.
We might be drenched in Cardinals gear today. Obviously, it's opening day. But I mean, I have not heard louder boos in a while when Mozeliak wrapped up.
Yeah. And Sandwich Man, yes, we do have goalies here in the minors just in case he goes to another team. Colton Ellis is playing very, very strong here in the AHL. One of the top. I'll be generous because I know he got blown. He was blown up here a little bit here over the last couple of games. I follow the prospects exclusively. So if you're looking for some good prospect coverage, I'm not going to try and boost myself up, but follow me on Twitter and you're going to see a lot of prospect coverage. Colton Ellis is one of the top 3 to 5 goalies in the AHL right now, statistically speaking. And then you do have Vadim Zarenko, who is, he started out the season as the number 1 goaltender, but I think Colton Ellis has taken over, and that was pretty apparent at that point in time here when he started to be able to play. Zarenko's a good netminder. I don't know how his consistency is where the tough part lies for him. And then you do have Will Cranley, who is an ECHL goaltender. And so he's, if you put it here like into baseball terms, he's more like at the AA level. Decent goaltender. He's still got a lot of people to work on, but he still has more than enough time with those 2 guys playing in the AHL this season and probably next season as well.
Yeah. Very quickly, take a look at, once again, this game. Obviously, I'm always I've said it before on the show. I'm a hockey sentimentalist. I'm a sports sentimentalist. And the biggest thing for me, living in the now. So obviously I'm obviously looking for the future. Want to quickly, before we get going, talk about this game one last time and just kind of the importance of, again, and this is something, I've seen a lot from this team. I think we've seen it more recently, is just the resilience of the Blues. And it really showed tonight. Obviously, we see, tough start. But also, I mean, Preds were fighting for something to try and stay alive this season, now eliminated. But the resilience of the Blues has just been incredible. And tonight, I think it really showed. And it's, that's something that to me speaks volumes, is that you have a team that, I mean, you see teams that have no quit at, high school level, especially college level, second, professional league, give or take, depends on the team.
Yeah.
This is a team that has no quit. And that is outside of the team aspect and all they're doing on the ice. That is, again, another aspect that is not, it's not an aspect of play. It's an aspect of the team that I just love. And it's making me just fall in love with this team even more. And I really hope they don't break my heart again because of it. But
it was no quit. It was redefined, and I think they doubled down, especially at the trade deadline when they decided to keep Braden Shen. Mm-hmm. That decision to be able to keep Braden Shen here was huge. Shen's decision to stay was massive. And I think that all the Blues pulled together and said, we want to be able to keep you here. Please stay here. Please do not go. Because, again, there were offers. There were absolutely offers here for him to be able to go. And I think his decision to be able to stay, because, we've got something special cooking here. And I think that his decision to be able to stay and be able to, and believing here in his team, I think that was massive here for a confidence boost here for the squad.
Well, before we go, quick look at the scoreboard. Stars still up 3-2 on top of the Flames. Hopefully, as much as it pains for me to say it, hopefully the Stars hold on and end up winning this game. Hurts me just to say that. But just a quick reminder, if you can't catch us live, you can always catch all of our all of our videos and shows on demand right here on the Sports Hub YouTube page, and also across all of our other socials at Sports Hub STL, and catch all of our other content at www.sportshubstl.com. Blues win 3-2, jump ahead again in the standings, getting close to the Wild, right behind them. Another big 2 points again as they miraculously get a 3-2 victory over the Predators. Mike, thank you for joining us here. Again, another fantastic game for the Blues, and I'm sure Saturday's just going to be just as fun for the 3 o'clock puck drop, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 3:30. That is
3:30. Yep.
Over in Denver against the Avalanche. We'll have that right here with Ethan Hannaford and Thomas Welch, I believe, doing the post-game show after the game. And just a quick reminder of Thomas, the consequences that he will face, because we will never live that down until we officially clinch the postseason and he shaves his head to that shiny dome that he will have. So thank you for joining us here, Mike, for another great game. And also thought I'd throw it in. Jimmy Snugger did score tonight. I'm sure you caught that, but that certainly makes me happy. Gophers up 3-1 if you follow Minnesota hockey at all. Hopefully we see them here in St. Louis for soon for the Frozen Four. That'll do it from us. For Mike Meyer, I'm Jacob Stanoch. This has been Blues Hub Postgame on Sports Hub STL.